Hello, friends. Good evening, and welcome to the Pieces Collective. We have wisdom, wellness, and wealth today. My name is Shannon Stott, and I am your host, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. Today, we are talking about shopping locally and empowerment with every purchase, how we can actually use our power to uplift communities. And we're going to talk really deeply, I think, with our amazing panelists. But before we get into our amazing panelists, we are going to welcome the program director of the Pieces Collective Spread the Word program, Karen Freeman. Karen, how are you?
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm so well. I love being here, so I'm in a good place.
Great. Well, it's nice to be in front of the camera. I'm usually behind the camera, so it's nice to join you here today.
Yeah, you look great. You're doing great. We can hear you. It's
good. Okay. Well, I do want to start with sharing a quote from Frederick Douglass. And the quote is, "Once you learn to read, you'll forever be free." And that quote is fundamental in the belief that literacy leads to self-empowerment and liberation. And I want to talk about a crisis that we're having in the country right now. It's a very quiet crisis, but it's across the country in our U.S. public schools. Right now, only 33% of fourth graders can read on grade level and pass their proficiency tests. That's all across the United States, all students in public schools. And when you narrow that down to African American students, only 16% are proficient in reading. And it doesn't get any better because when they get to the 8th grade, the numbers are the same. So what does that mean? It has a great impact on our children and our communities. For our children, it means that they have lower self-esteem because they can't read. They have struggles academically. They have behavioral issues, and eventually they can become completely disengaged and drop out of school. For our communities, it means that we have a lower skill set that can be realized. It means that we have economic strain and increased poverty. It means that we have less civic engagement, even worse health outcomes. And it leads to an intergenerational cycle of decline in this area. So at the Pieces Collective, part of our mission is to make sure that we're helping build thriving communities through education and economics. And one of our programs is the Spread the Word Literacy Initiative. Decades of research has shown that access to books in the home increases the likelihood of academic success. And so one key deliverable for the Spread the Word program is to build home libraries with representative books for children in early childhood development programs and in Head Start. So on November 16th, we have the Community for Action fundraiser, which supports the Spread the Word program and helps us to provide these libraries to children. And it's going to be taking place in the Columbia, Maryland area at 7 p.m. on the 16th. So addressing literacy requires a full community-based effort. And at the Pieces Collective, we're doing our part, and I'm hoping that you're going to do your part as well. So I want to invite you to look at our website, which is www.thepiecescollected.org/events/community for action. Learn more about our initiative, purchase a ticket, become a sponsor, or make a donation. And we hope to see you then. Thanks. Peace.
Thank you so much, Karen. I was happy that we can hear you. It's really important that we all actually take some sort of action. It is what you said at the very beginning, as far as this being a silent epidemic, is really important to keep in the back of our memories. And I think Karen would say keep in the front of your mind so that you can join this initiative. We are going to get into our panelists today. We are welcoming Naila Queen. Naila Queen is a wife, a mother, CEO, philanthropist, innovator, and self-care advocate, excuse me. She started It's Naila, the hub for Naila, the brand, coaching, and business services. She's very involved in mentoring other entrepreneurs just starting out and also connecting with those who are seasoned to build the African American entrepreneur community. She believes it's important to be part of the change we want to see, and entrepreneurship allows us to have a seat at the table without having to ask for it. Naila, thank you for being here. We also have Ikrama Muhammad. Ikrama Muhammad is the creative director of Pieces Collective, a local handcraft accessory and home decor company whose goal is to create sustainable markets and systems for handmade and recycled goods. The Pieces Collective is committed to using creativity to help serve the needs of the community and contribute to the economic, social, and human development of women and youth and young adults. You are here at the Pieces Collective event. So, Ikrama, welcome.
Greetings. How are you, Shannon?
I'm wonderful.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have you on this side. The switch
I know.
is amazing.
I like being on this side. And I want to give a shout out to Karen with that beautiful message she delivered. I'm ready to sign up and get my tickets right now.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And so are so many. Naila, thank you for being here.
Hi, Naila.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Shannon.
Of
Mama.
course.
Hi.
Good to see you.
All right. Before we get, because I know that both of you have tons to say, we're going to talk a lot, and I'm excited about it. And as far as entrepreneurship, I'm wondering about this question for the two of you and for those of you in the chat. Just go ahead and let us know. Is there a thing that people tell you that you're good at? You should try, you'd be great at. Is there a thing that people tell you you would be great at, but you have not pursued, and why?
That's a good question.
I believe it is speaking engagements. I am very shy, which most people don't believe. So I tend to kind of like shy away from speaking engagements. I do them sometimes, but I get like if I do something, they'll say, you should do this more often, or you should do this one, or you should join this person and you guys do this. And I'm just like, oh, maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. But I get nervous, but that is something that I actually am working on and want to do more often. So
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's difficult for me to think of anything, but I know a long time ago, this gentleman told me that he thought I would be very good at mediation. I think at the time, mediation was starting to be a new field where people, rather than other avenues, people was wanting to meet together and mediate and settle things, etc. So
yeah,
I agree.
Me too. I asked this question because as we get into our discussion, lots of entrepreneurs are approached with, you'd be good at, you should do, you might want to think about. And I think it is an entrepreneur's challenge maybe not to be pulled in so many different directions. And I would love you both to talk about capacity, just knowing your capacity for things, and also how to choose what it is that you want to be doing.
That's a good question too, because I struggle with that because I am pulled in many different directions because I want to do a lot of different things because I see a lot of need. And so sometimes it's difficult for me to focus and ignore some of the other things that I see. But I am learning to do one thing at a time and to focus on that and write my other ideas down. And I think you have to have someone. That's why I think it's really important that you're not working by yourself, because there's things that you can't see about by yourself. You might think, oh, it's a great idea. I have 100 ideas a day,
Right.
But somebody else might see how that might be hindering you from completing something that you're working on at present. So I think that would be something important for an entrepreneur to deal with. Number one, understanding that not every idea is a good idea for business. And also understanding that you can have great ideas, but you don't have to do everything right now.
Ooh. Yeah, some things can wait. Nayula?
I definitely agree. I'm a whole octopus. I do a lot. That's what I call myself. And that's just kind of like how I feel. But having different businesses and being involved in so many different things, I've had to learn that as a creative, we constantly come up with ideas of things that we want to do, throughout the day, at night, when we're laying in bed, when we're quiet, and we're supposed to be sleeping, we're thinking of different things we can do. So I've had to learn that, like Aparna said, I put it in a book. I put it on paper. If I put it on paper, it's going to get done. But it doesn't mean it has to be done right then. And I had to learn that because I would think it and be like, okay, let me start this business tomorrow. My husband literally said, don't start another business. Anything else. And I had to really think about, like, why do I want to keep doing all these things? And I used to think if I didn't do it immediately, then it wasn't going to happen. And I had to learn that everything has a time and a place, and you have to do things in order. So I had to learn that, and it's helped me tremendously with just running the different businesses and knowing that I can't do everything by myself. I'm big on outsourcing to someone else and letting them do what they do well instead of me having to worry about it. So I definitely had to learn that balance.
So it's good. I'm wondering, this sounds like something both of you, I don't want to say struggle with, but it's been with you all this time, right? You've had ideas, you've been writing them down, you've sort of dabbled a little bit. So what was the defining moment that clicked for you as far as being an entrepreneur and knowing that you were an artist or a maker?
Another good question, Shannon. I'm good at this.
Hey.
Well, for me, it's an interesting story because I think I don't even call myself really an entrepreneur, so to speak. It's very unconventional how I came to be in quote unquote business. And for me, it was seeing the need or wanting to seek answers to problems in the community or problems that people are having, struggles in terms of access to resources, access to decent education or true education, those kinds of things that led me to get into business, so to speak. Because I never really thought of myself as a business person. I wasn't ever really interested in going into business But that's because of the way business, I was introduced to it in school back in the olden days when I took the class and they said the main reason, the only reason at that time they were saying the only reason to go into business is to make a profit and to make money. And they probably still say that to some extent today. And I don't consider myself a very materialistic driven person. So that never motivated me. But when I found out the role that business plays in the economy of a community or a nation or a city or anything like that, then it became more significant to me. And also to understand that for programs and things that you want to do to serve community, they need to be funded because at this point, things aren't free. So that was how I really decided, okay, well, I'm going to go do this business.
Mm. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
A lot. Yeah, you're finding that moment where you intersect with the community instead of other things. People are telling you what you need to intersect with, but the moment that where it clicks for you. And so, yeah, Naila, what was the moment that it clicked for you?
When it got personal.
Mm.
When it got personal, my first business I started because I work for the Department of Juvenile Services and I love traveling. And I've realized that so many of the youth that we serve hadn't been out the city.
Mm.
They didn't see anything except for Baltimore. And having been traveled so much, I know that this is not how the rest of the world is. And so it was a very limited view that they had of the world, of how life was. So I decided that I wanted to make it my duty to put packages together that people can afford in my community to travel so these babies can get outside of the cities and start seeing the world in a different light through a different lens. And that's what made me start my travel agency. In the process of it, my son was going to college, and it was the first time, because I had him when I was 16. So I've always had a village to help me. But I never felt that I could do it on my own. And when I started the business and it became successful, I was able to have him go to college without him having to work and being able to help him so he can graduate and go right back for his master's. But it was the first time that I felt like I was able to provide solo as a mother, without state's assistance, my mother's assistance, anyone else's assistance. It was that hard work that I put in. And I realized that entrepreneurship gives us a different seat at the table without having to ask for it. And it changes the dynamics of families in our communities. So it just made me very passionate about it, wanting to work with other women entrepreneurs, helping them. And then that's how the creative side came, was like, and another business and another business and another business. But that was that connection, seeing how it had made changes in my family.
That's Naila. You said when it becomes personal, and when you started talking about being a person who can support their family, being an entrepreneur, that's a big deal. It's supporting your community, supporting your family. And I'm wondering, with that maybe on your shoulders, or with that even motivating you, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay empowered? What keeps you driven to continue the hard work that it takes to be an entrepreneur? And this is obviously a question for both of you.
I feel like I've been charged with making a difference. I believe God blesses us to be blessings to others. So if I was given this blessing and being able to do this for my family and help people in my community, why not? Why not continue it? Why not do more? I always believe if you can do more, do more. If we have it in us, just do it, because we can't wait for anyone else to help us. And when I say us, I'm saying community, your neighborhoods, people, especially who look like us. Why not do more to help us? Because we're behind the eight ball with everything. It's financing, housing, even the food deserts and stuff. So it's like it's up to us to kind of make that difference. And I feel like if I'm being blessed to be able to do it and help my family and my community, I'm going to keep doing it. And we all just need to help each other do it together, collectively.
Yeah, I love that, Naila. And to the thing that I relate to in what you're saying is that you saw a situation that you wanted to change or you wanted to help change. And then I can really relate to that because that's why I do what I do, because you see conditions that we struggle with, and you know there has to be solutions to that. But we keep enduring the same things over and over and over again, which I also think is, the importance of entrepreneurship, quote unquote, entrepreneurship, because I think it's just caring about people and wanting to provide and serve people. We have these names and these buzzwords and things to describe things, but really it's about, hey, we want our communities to be better, to be safer, to be thriving. We want the people in our communities to understand the power of their own creativity, that they have access to creating the things that we need. And if they're not out there, then we have to create them. I think the one thing that we have to keep in mind is that our ability to create. So a lot of times things are put out there for us, like the word entrepreneur and what that means and how you're supposed to do it. And even the fact that you're not supposed to do a whole lot of things at one time. Well, who says that? If you can do them, if you can't do them, you're going to find out, but I believe we have to look at new creative ways of building our community and doing quote unquote business, and the motive and purpose and reason behind that, which is why I continue to do what I'm doing, so because I think that, what is that saying? If you keep doing things the same way, you're going to get the same thing. And what is that called? It's like insanity. So the things that we want, we have to believe that we're capable of doing. And we just have to come together and express our ideas, study our history, all those types of things to see what we have learned and where we need to go from here. But we don't have to follow the cookie cutter version of what is defined for us. We have to figure it out on our own, because apparently the cookie cutter version is not working.
Ikrama, when you, and obviously, anytime I say a name and then a question, it's for everyone. But I'm wondering, in the moments where you are feeling like, am I making a difference? Is it worth it? When in those moments, what keeps you, what do you have a system in place? Do you have a routine? Do you have a mantra? Do you have something that tells you, no, I've been here before, or these people need me? What keeps you going? What keeps you moving forward through those times, those difficult, dark, crunchy times?
Well, for me, it is faith and family, so I think faith is very important, and which is one of the reasons I'm doing this as well, to understand that your life is about the work that you do in service of others and in service of your community. So, and a brother told me one time when I was feeling that kind of way, just do the work, sister, and Allah will bless you. And I think of that all the time when I'm feeling that way. I remember we had a pop-up in Baltimore, And it was one of those days. It's a challenge
Mm-hmm.
to get people, all different types of personalities, working together, and to, try to hold people accountable, etc. It can be very challenging. And I was having that one of those challenging days. And one of the other makers at the pop-up brought her minister to the pop-up. And I didn't even really say anything. She, how are you doing? Oh, I'm glad you came, etc. And we struck up the conversation. And I was like, well, I'm having a rough day. And she gave me this scripture, Galatians 6:9. And I have to paraphrase it, but it said, never grow weary of doing well, because over time you will get the outcome you're looking for if you don't give up. I'm paraphrasing that, but you can look it up. And it made all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and so that's what really motivates me to understand. For me, it's to understand, well, this is my life's purpose. It's not necessarily just business.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm here to do. This is part of my education system. This is part of me becoming and growing into the full potential that I have, knowing what it's like to be human, and which goes far beyond business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ela, yeah.
Yeah, I would say just understanding that I have a purpose, and I understand that I'm being charged with making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm here for a reason. And it's like Mama said, making that dash count. We're here, we give a birth date and we have an end date. And it's all about making that dash in between that date count, and be able to help the next person. I'm all about just helping the next person be the best version of themselves that they can be. So when I have those days that are like, I'm tired, even honestly right now, I know that I have a purpose. I know that what we talk about today can help somebody, even if it's just one person,
Mm-hmm.
that we did our job. And sometimes we have to push ourselves through, not just for them, but for us as well. So we don't get complacent and just stuck in a sad space, or a space where we feel like we can't come out of. It challenges us to kind of like get out there and keep going when you don't want to sometimes. So I think about the bigger picture. It's the bigger picture. It's not just about me. And I
Mm-hmm.
try to keep that in mind, to say, hey, it's not just about you. You got stuff going on. And so does this person have something going on. And this person has this going on. But we're still expecting those people to pull through in their respective duties and stuff in life. So, you can put in the work as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps me going. When I need to take a break, I will. I will
Right.
take that break.
Exactly.
I've learned to do that. But, if I can keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad that you said that, because it is something you have to learn to do, is take a break. When you're so committed to something, sometimes you feel like you can't take a break, or, you really don't deserve to take a break because you're working on something that's so much more important than you getting rest or whatever. But over time, you have to take that, you have to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to really be able to do what you need to do. So there are other things and disciplines that you have to learn to put in place so that you can take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me also, the lack of knowledge is the reason that we have these problems. If we knew how to solve these problems, we wouldn't have them. Right? So our lack of knowledge of solving these problems comes from us not attempting to do that. If that makes sense. It's like, if you don't have experience in doing something, you don't know. And that's what going into business, quote unquote, as we're saying, helps to give us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Actual facts. It's one thing to be able to talk about doing a thing. And even when you're in business, as we can see, we got a lot of people in business, but our condition doesn't change. Right? So there's something missing. And for people who are in business to make money or status or any of those things, that might be enough. But for those of us who, as we're talking about tonight, as Naila is talking about as well, who want to make change and change our communities and solve our problems. Business is one aspect of the whole life circle, so to speak. It's just one portion of it. And sometimes in this society, everything is compartmentalized. So you have your social life, you have your business life, you have your, this life, and everything is separate. And we function separately, even in what we call communities, because we're not really in tune to what other people need. We're more focused on what we need as individuals. And that has, as far as I know, of course, that has never been our history and our culture to operate like that.
I'm wondering, Ikrama, I feel like this is a good time because both of you are talking about community. Yes, you're talking about getting up in the morning and moving forward, but really both of you are also talking about taking a break, leaning on faith, leaning on other people. And I'm wondering, Ikrama, is this a good time to start talking about pieces and threads and the cohort?
Oh, sure.
And bring up your video?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that.
Let's do the video first and return.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. This is amazing because I feel like it's going to be such an easy, this is an easy chat about literally weaving community together.
Exactly. I want to thank Petra, who is our virtual assistant, for putting that video together. Petra's always behind the scenes doing a lot of work and, doing a lot of the graphics for us. So I really love that video. I especially love when the young sister put her thing up like, I did that. And that's the feeling I get when I'm teaching sewing, particularly to the young children, because they get so much joy out of creating and seeing their power to create. And so that's really what Pieces and Threads is about. I came up with the vision when I was volunteering for a thrift store, and we had lots of things we had to throw out because of spots or small defects. And we were talking at the time, wow, we could make things with all this fabric, but we didn't have the time or the resources or the space at that time. But then after I, fast forward, when I had the time, I decided that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And that I didn't want to go back into a corporate job. I wanted to do something that I really felt purposeful about. And I harken back to something my grandmother, Frances Robinson, taught me, which was sewing. And I had to get a refresher because I gave up sewing because why do I need that? I go to the store and buy my clothes. But I started refreshing my sewing skills and began making tote bags, taking them down to the Baltimore Farmers Market and Bazaar. And surprisingly enough, people loved them and they started buying them. And I kept going. And then people kept asking me, well, do you teach sewing? And I kept saying no. And they kept coming back. Other people, do you teach sewing? I was like, no. And then finally I was like, duh. You should teach a sewing class. And I work with Jubilee Arts to teach sewing. I've been doing that for about 10 years now at Jubilee Arts on Pennsylvania Avenue in Baltimore. So I love that. And I started out with the name being just Pieces and spelled Peaces because, of course, peace is what we need and what we seek. But then as we go forward, I was like, okay, I like the idea of pieces and threads because, as you were saying, thread helps weave together. Those threads help us bring together the pieces, and we want to use that spirit to help bring together sisters in particular in our communities to make beautiful things and make our community more beautiful and to bring our beauty back.
Yeah.
So
I feel this is great. I'm wondering, Naila, where do you find connection in that, in what Sister Akrama is saying as far as entrepreneurship being a tool for social empowerment? Like, as far as Akrama, you're talking about, weaving, literally bringing us together and empowering young Black women. Yeah, Naila, where are you also finding entrepreneurship to be empowering to the community?
I've said before, and I say it quite frequently, that it gives us a seat at the table without having to ask for it.
Yes.
And I know that I didn't grow up seeing a lot of us as entrepreneurs. I grew up supporting stores and other businesses, but I didn't necessarily see people that looked like me and understand the dynamics of entrepreneurship and how it can change families, how it can change communities, how we can support one another, come together collectively. That's why I think it's so important to have a good tribe when you're an entrepreneur of other entrepreneurs that can uplift and support one another. It's a different feeling when you're an entrepreneur, and also a different space where not many understand unless they're in it. So like some things I might not be able to talk to my sister about or my husband about because he's not necessarily in the thick of it like I am, but I have a tribe of other entrepreneurs who get it as soon as I say it. And we want to make sure that we thrive and that we're successful because we want to see our community shift. We want to see a lot more of the younger generations going into business for themselves. If I didn't say anything in 2020, I saw so many of us betting on ourselves. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. We did not wait for those unemployment checks that they said was going to come that took forever to come. It was like, hey, I know how to cook. I know how to paint. I can cut grass. I can build this. I can do hair. I can do nails. It was like everything that people didn't even think about themselves before then. When we went into survival mode, it all came out. And that's what I know of us as people, as our culture, that it'll all come out because we are going to thrive when we have nothing else to bet on. We're going to bet on ourselves and make it happen. So it's so beautiful to see that. So now this challenge is just making sure that, one, we continue doing that, And two, we put things in place for the entrepreneurs, the younger ones, the new ones, even some of the seasoned ones that might not have done it when they first started, so they can continue it and leave that legacy. It's all about creating that blueprint for the next person to be able to do it after you without going through the same thing that you went through. And that's what the focus is now.
Yeah. I think Black women are the fastest growing demographic in terms of entrepreneurships, faster than any other demographic. And I believe that happened due to the pandemic. And like Naila was saying, due to need and a way to survive. And it's funny you mentioned that because my cousin Tammy, she is a curator at the Schomburg. And one of the artists asked her to write a an opening or a forward for her art book. And Tammy was like, "Oh, I've never written a forward for an art book before." And the girl said, "Tammy, we're Black women, and when we're met with a challenge, we get it going, something like that. Like, we make it happen. It doesn't matter whether we haven't done it before or not." And that's this. If you go back and look at how we've survived, we had to make do. We had to waste not, want not. We had to keep going in the face of all adversity, not just Black women, but Black people in general. But a lot of times we were left to care for the children, etc. And so, as Naila was saying, it becomes like personal. What do we have to do? But I don't want. I think one thing that I learned in this class I took on business is that when you're starting a business, you should look at what outcome you want when you start. He categorized it as like you're going on a trip. You need to pack appropriately for where you're going. Because you don't want to run out of clothes and you're halfway find out, oh, I don't have clothes to get to whatever. So he was talking about 3 levels of business. Like if you want to just be self-employed, that's one level. And none of these levels are good or bad. It just depends on what you want. If you want to be self-employed and not have to work a job anymore, that's one level. That's about, you make $50,000 a year, something like that. The second level is more from 50 to 250. That's called like an equity level, where you're going to get some, you still have to work, but you're going to get some residual monies from your business. And then, of course, the last level is the independence level, where you've grown your business from 250 to 10 million and basically have it in a position for you to sell it, for $10 million or something of that nature. And then you don't have to work anymore. You probably will do another business or something like that, but you don't have to work anymore. And there are some of us, I think, the woman who, Pinky Cole, there are some of us who are in that category up there, and they want to be there, and that's all good. I like to think of another level, which is the collective level, like the community building level. You're into business to build community. So, keeping that as your goal versus, necessarily how much money you make. The amount of money that people make in business, we're seeing, does not equate to better conditions in our community. Not to say that they don't contribute or give back or whatever, but for us to have real change, we have to have a group of people who are doing entrepreneurship for community building. And that is not just building of physical things, but building of the people's knowledge, people's connection to each other. And which is why I love the textile arts, because if you look at the history of the textile arts, it's rooted in community. It's rooted in women, mainly women, coming together and quilting, with people from all generations sitting around and helping, even if they're just holding the thread, or holding the yarn if you're knitting. And they're hearing stories that the elder women are telling, and they're learning how to do certain things. I'm reminded of this South Carolina community where the sisters weave the baskets, and that's passed down generation to generation to generation. So now you can't afford the baskets, but they're beautiful. And it's just and then we gain knowledge and we know what to do next. That's what I think that we're missing. Where to go next? If you have a business and you're successful, how to make that change and that impact. And that comes from, studying ourselves, studying our history, and deciding what kind of community we want to be.
Yeah.
I'm
wondering, Naila, it feels like when you're talking at Krama, like, yes, we're building this community and deciding what kind of community you want to be. Naila, we have a video for you as well, and you've really marketed yourself. We get an image of what kind of community you're building, and I'd love to see that video now, and we can chat about it afterwards.
Wonderful.
Stress is taking a toll on our immune system and even our hair. Regally Insane invites you to better self-care with our hair products made with essential oils and natural ingredients, promoting healthy growth. Build a healthy immune system. Our supplements have natural vitamins, nutrients, and minerals with an enjoyable taste so you can reach daily nutritional goals. Find us on social media at Regally Insane. For health, hair, and wellness, shop RegallyInsane.com.
I love this. Yes. I love the fact that caring for ourselves is part of community, right? When we're talking about, yes, being there for our community, making sure that we can uplift our families like you were talking about. But in order to do that, we really have to be able to care for ourselves in a particular way.
Yes. I started Regally Insane because it was personal. I was losing my hair, and I'm natural under these braids now, but I'm natural, and I didn't find anything that I can actually, put in my hair that didn't have chemicals. So since in 2020, we all had time to sit down, I took advantage of that time and decided to do some research. I came up with a blend that worked, but I also realized during that time, we didn't know what COVID was. We're trying to do like elderberry syrup. We're trying to do sea moss. We're trying to do anything that we can find that was kind of healthy to prevent us from getting sick. And I've realized that a lot of things that they were saying to take, one was not available in my community because we suffer from these food deserts and having organic products. And then the second half of that was it was not affordable. So you can say you want to take the elderberry syrup, but it was so expensive, and you might have a family of 5. How can you get enough for everybody in the family to be able to take it? So I started thinking about, okay, I need to meet my people where we are. Like, we need to get some healthy products that has no chemicals and that's affordable, and they can take it wherever they are at without having to make all these smoothies. Because you can't tell a mom who's getting her kids out to school on time and get to work on time that she has time to make a smoothie every morning and start having a healthier lifestyle. That's just not the reality that most of us live in. So I decided to, figure out a way that I can help us help ourselves. And that's how Regally Insane was birthed. But it is really important that we know that we have to take care of ourselves. Like they say on an airplane, put the mask on yourself first before you can put it on the next person, because you can't help anyone if you're not good yourself. And a lot of us need to just get, a lot of it is not knowing, the education part. Like, if you know better, you can do better. But if you don't know better, what you expect people to do? So, incorporate that education, incorporate that, availability, give them things that, they can use and tools to do better. And that's what I look at with everything in the community. Like, we have to educate. We have to give them tools. We can't just say this is what you need. We have to give them a solution to the problem. And that's where I think you were talking about, Grandma, like, what do we do next? We know what we got now, but what do we do next? Well, okay, I know that I can do this. And then you may be able to say, hey, I can educate them on this because, hey, I'm a PA and I'm trained in this area. And then we come together and it's starting to happen. So that's community. When I say collaboration is key in so many different aspects. Like you said, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about being able to make a difference, because after the money's gone and you still got that same situation going on, we're back at square one.
Right. Or if you make millions and you're gone, but other people are still, in that condition.
Yeah.
Which is, why it's important for us to work together. Like you said, no one person can do it all.
All right.
But
I'm wondering, like, for the people who are looking at both of you thinking, well, that's great for you. You had time to come up with an idea. It seems like it came to you overnight. Can you all talk a little bit about the time and the effort and the patience that it takes to go from I have an idea to I'm now an entrepreneur?
I can speak on it from the first business. I still work full time. So I'm an entrepreneur, but I still have a full time and I still have 3 different businesses. So it takes a lot of time and patience and understanding what you want and the proper way to do it. So I think from the first business, I learned that, a lot of people think when you're an entrepreneur that you don't have to work for anybody. Everyone's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, so I don't have to listen to nobody. I don't have to work for anybody. And then when you get into it, you realize that you do have to listen to the customers, to your clients, and you do have to work for them, and you're still a customer service rep. So it doesn't go away. It just changes with, what's expected of you and you setting, I guess, your own hours and stuff like that. But it definitely made me aware of a timeline. Like I even have a timeline. I retire in 2 years. So I have things in place now for when I retire, I can fully retire without having to do, say, a part-time or something like that. And then also just, I guess, knowing that you don't have to quit your job if you want to start your own business. A lot of times I just say, just start it. Just start it. Like, just start it. Start something. And then you can build on it. It doesn't have to be like this big company. But if you like to do nails and you want to do press on, do one press on and put that out there to people so that they can buy that one press on. And then also I'm a student, a forever student. I will stay in a program all day, every day, and continuing my education when it comes to business. So I encourage people, if you don't know, that's fine. We have so many resources out here that you can learn how to do certain things. You can learn how to start your business. You can learn how to, file for these things that you need, apply for grants and stuff like that. So it's a lot of resources out here that are helping us as entrepreneurs get through this journey, so we're not doing it alone. I encourage people to do cohorts. I encourage them to get in accelerators, take online trainings. There's so many free options available out there that if you're not going to do it, it's because you don't want to do it, because there are options and resources out there to help you everywhere. You have a phone, you got access. That's it. You got access if you got a phone, a computer, or anything like that. You got it.
And I'd like to say you don't have to do it. Everybody doesn't have to do it. Everybody doesn't want to do it. It's for people who have that vision or commitment or drive for whatever reason it's driving them. Some people, companies need people who will work for them. And, our goal is to grow to be a company that can hire people and provide an environment for them that's humane, that they're learning, that they can express themselves, that they can live up to their potential, not be harassed, not be discriminated against, all these issues that we deal with now, because the company is about caring for the community versus making a profit and, taking that back to their communities. I thought about this the other day. It just hit me that sometimes we're just hiring ourselves out to companies that use our talents, but we have no real connection to them, and they have no real connection to us and our families. They pay us, and then we turn around and have to give all that money back. It's almost like, dare I say, sharecropping. It's almost like that. And we do this because this is all that we know. And it's up to us to carve a path forward so that there's an alternative to that.
This is a great little segue. So can you talk a little bit, Ikrama, about how your business model incorporates the empowerment of the communities you serve?
Well, I also founded the Pieces Collective, which is a nonprofit. And that was really to incorporate serving the community. I started Pieces because I was thinking I didn't want to go back to work and I need some way to sustain myself. And so I'll sell handbags and make accessories, etc. Also, all the time realizing that you can't build a community by yourself or be a community just yourself. So the Pieces Collective was that effort to bring other makers together so that we could share and support each other, promote each other, and then use a portion of our proceeds to develop community programs. So one of the community programs Karen spoke about earlier is Spread the Word. So part of our proceeds go toward addressing the literacy issues. Another program that we have, Sewing for the Soul. I work with Jubilee Arts in a sewing program there, introductory sewing program there. And I've developed a curriculum called Sewing for the Soul. And it's about sewing and the skills, but it's not just about sewing. It's about the analogies in life, what it takes to make it in life, and what it takes to make a garment. The steps that you have to follow, the patience that you have to have, the discipline that you have to have, the understanding that just because it's not perfect doesn't mean it's not beautiful. So these are a lot of lessons that you can teach in sewing, and then also share with people if they are interested in looking at sewing as a way of income. Okay, well, we can talk about how we can do that as well. So, and I really love that. I used to think, and maybe we were taught this back in the olden days, that you were either a creative person or you were like a scientific, logical, so-called thinking person. And now I know that we're all creative people. We all have a creativity within us. Some of us might lean more one direction than the other. Some people have talent that you can recognize right away. They have beautiful voices or they make beautiful paintings. But we all have that creative ability in us. Creativity is a divine attribute, to be able to create. And I think when we connect with that, whether it's through making beautiful hairstyles or making beautiful clothing, quilting, things that you do, or even just my students just get so excited. One of the first projects we do is they make a little pin cushion, their personal pin cushion. And these pin cushions come out, they're so beautiful. And they get so excited about completing that. And I love it. I love to see the joy that they have and the confidence. And I find that children, they're more free. So when we start a sewing program with children, now some children will be like, oh, I can't. But most of them, they'll dive into it. They don't worry about making a mistake. And you can tell the socialization of children that do worry or are a little tight. You can just encourage them a little bit and they go for it. Whereas adults are like very uptight about starting a project or messing something up. And I think we're socialized that way, which keeps us in a box, keeps us from, expanding and going outside of the lines. Like, you're never supposed to color outside of the lines. That's terrible. And so that's a socialization we have. And so we just follow things that are put in front of us, do it the way we're told to do it. But we do know as well that not everybody wants us to win. And there are very big obstacles in our path. And only by coming together can we talk honestly about these things and come up with ways that we can survive and eventually thrive with the knowledge that we're given.
Mm-hmm. And then for you, Naila, in your business, how are you supporting your community? How does the business model incorporate the empowerment of your community?
For one, I start at home. So if you remember the video and we showed all the models, they are all people I know. That was my son. That was my girlfriend. That was my girlfriend's daughter. So I always, in every event that I have, and even with the businesses, I always hire my family. Before I hire anyone on the outside, I'm going to keep us. And I want them to see it and be part of it, because you need your family to be part of it. And that goes with the community. Once they're part of what you're doing, they are vested in it. They want it to thrive. They want it to be successful. So now you have everyone that's on board, because now we're all collectively invested in this. So I think it's so important that, even, doing give backs or working with the kids or the youth, or just speaking at different places for other women entrepreneurs so they can learn how to, maneuver this journey that we're embarking upon. Just any way that I can kind of give back and pull them up with me, I'm going to do that with my community. But a big thing is getting those involved in the process. Like, we tend to have conversations about people and what we need to do without placing them at the table with us. I think it's so very important that we start putting those that we are working and trying to find a solution for at the table with us, because no one knows better than them, right? So if they get them on board and they work alongside with us, and then we're all vested in it, and now it's working, it's thriving. They see how community and everyone can work collectively together, how it works. Then the next person sees it, and the next person sees it. And again, this is that legacy, that blueprint that shows how we can keep making changes in our community without having to start all over from scratch, but getting everybody on board and show that it does work. We can work together. It's a thing that they always think Black women can't work together. I've heard that so much growing up. And I think that's why I have such a passion about it, because we can. We can work together, we can thrive, we can support each other, and we can just show all the way out together. And I love seeing that. Like, when I say sis, it's serious. It's a term of endearment, because I do look at you. You are a reflection of me. And once we start looking at that with each other, then we're going to support each other more, and we're going to want each other to win. And that's that part of how I bridge the community with the business model.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Shop Local cohort, which is where I met
Perfect time.
Naila. Yeah. And it's managed by the Maryland Women Business Center. They're located in Rockville. And they began this program in 2019. And their aim was to lower the barriers of opportunity to a diverse group of entrepreneurs, women, businesses, and help them launch businesses and create both a program as well as a space-based incubator. So they give classes online, but they also allow us to have a space in a retail location. So I met Naila and I met when we were in the cohort at the Third, which is this beautiful location. The founding director of that was Laura Bacon. It was a wonderful place, and we had a wonderful group of sisters there. It really was like family. But unfortunately, the place called the Third is still available, but the building is closed. And then two of us, Rochelle and I, moved down to Savage Mill. So now we're at Savage Mill at the kiosk there with a few other women. And it's just giving us an opportunity to learn together, to promote our goods, and to just get an understanding of where we want to go next with our business. So I think we have a video from Rochelle, who is with Queen's Temple Handmade. Rochelle is very passionate about her products. She makes excellent products. They're very natural. She's very particular about everything that she puts in there. And she has really impressed me over the time I've known her about skincare and personal care. So if we could show Rochelle's video at this time, that would be great. Yeah, that's great. I wanted to shout out some of the other members there. You can, if you're interested in Michelle's products or my products, Naila and I are also at the Collective in Owings Mills. But you can visit us at the Savage Mill kiosk if you're here local in Maryland. We're there Wednesday through Sunday, and you can stop by anytime and see us. I want to shout out the other women who are there. Hila, who is the owner of Alumia, which is a custom design jewelry and jewelry making, and she does jewelry making classes as well. Fragile Beauty, which is owned by Emily Stevens. She's a mosaic artist, crafting stained glass, home decor, and commission pieces. Gina Moran, Inso Gifts, she imports handmade Wayu bags and accessories from her home country of Colombia to highlight the artisan work of the indigenous people there. And Lucia Gomez is the owner of Showy, which is a brand specializing in earwear, offering a stunning range of earrings and ear cuffs. Do you all know what ear cuffs are?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
I love a good ear cuff.
I'm late to the party. Ear cuffs meticulously crafted with high quality material. So those are the other women that we share the kiosk with. And we invite everybody listening to, if you're in the area, come down and see us. And if don't live in the area, when you come to the area, come down and see us.
I will.
But I want to shout out to Martha and Danette, who lead the program and help us with a variety of things. So, but I'm also excited about something that we are working on that I think is going to bring even more experience and joy to our community as around business that Naila is heading up for us.
You're gonna
Well,
talk about it. Like cliffhangers.
Breaking news. No.
Breaking.
me, Rama, and Karen are actually doing a co-op, and we are starting Melanin and Mentorship for Black female entrepreneurs to help them through their journey, so we can leave this legacy in our community and keep building what needs to be built so they can leave it to their family and their kids, and and their kids can learn it. And so we have collectively come together and put our great minds together, and I realized that all of us have such strong talents in different areas that blend beautifully together. Like it really is a beautiful sight to behold. But I'm excited about it. This should be rolling out very, very soon. And it's going to be great. We're going to make some definite changes in our community. It will be, the home location will be in Baltimore City, but we will be at different places, and hopefully we'll be able to duplicate this and maybe go further, and it be in different states and different communities so they can get the same thing. So I'm very, very excited to be with these ladies, my sisters, and
Yes.
start this co-op with them. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very excited as well. And Naila has a wealth of experience. She's developed a curriculum for entrepreneurs. And tell them, Naila, about your program that, shout yourself out.
Well, one of the businesses I have also besides a travel agency is it's Naila. So it's focused on building women empowerment events, and business coaching for women, particularly Black women. So this was just like the perfect thing. And I say that it's a time for everything. This was a seed that was planted a while back. I remember God even saying, take a seat and focus on this and let this just kind of like marinate. And that was when we were at the third. So it shifted. I paused that to work at the third, not knowing that I was going to meet these two beautiful women that would complement everything and tie it all in together. So I am very, very thankful about it. Yes, I do business coaching and consulting and women empowerment event. I actually have one coming up September 28th. Um, but this is what we're doing. This is what I love doing. This is my passion. This is what I live for. So I am very, very excited.
Yeah.
There's something to be talked about between, as you both are talking about community and entrepreneurship. Ikrama, you said it's really not about being separate, having everything that you do separate from each other. And Naila, you're saying, it's so interesting to hear you say, oh, I had this idea, it was gifted to me, you're right, this idea, and I put it on pause, and then I was put in the right place so to meet these people. And I would love both of you just to talk about even more about being open to the communities that you're in and being okay with some of those communities crossing over when it comes to entrepreneurship and building community and building your connections. Because I don't think people really realize the power of community and connection. I feel like people, entrepreneurs think these days about, I'm going to start a business, it's mine, and I am the only one that can run all of the things. But yeah, just talk more about community and connection in support of business.
I would like to say, I always start out with you can't do everything on your own. Your arm just doesn't reach that far. So if you want to be a business owner, but you can't do it by yourself, you have to collaborate. You have to make connections. There's no way, even if you can't do it by yourself, you might have to go to a bank. That's a connection. You just can't do it by yourself. And when you help the next person and you build your sense of community, we need to get out of the thought that the light comes off of us and we're, taken away from us. I look at it, it doesn't hurt you to help the next person screw in their light bulb. It makes the room brighter, right? Instead of one light bulb, now you have two, you might have three, or might have four. The room is brighter and they can see you more. So it's so important that we understand the value of having a community, value of collaborating with one another. This is not a competition. It's just not. It's enough out there that everyone can eat. Even if you're in the same business, I mentor other travel agents and other entrepreneurs, and we can be in the same area and same spaces. I've been at pop-ups where we're right next to each other. But you know what? When you got to go off and grab some food, I'm gonna sell your products too, because that's what we need to understand. Is not a competition, because we're going to be blessed in our own right because we're doing the right thing. So just help the next person. That's the focus that we need to focus on, like helping the next person be the best version of themselves that they can be and get to that next level so they can pull up the next person, and then you keep going. And eventually we'll all get to the top of the mountain. At some point, we'll all get to the top of the mountain, and that's the goal for us all to get up there. But we're going to have to help each other up and understand that that's very important, because you're not going to get there by yourself.
Yeah. It's about motive and purpose. What is your motive and purpose? Are you in touch with your purpose for being here? Or are we just going with the flow, going with the system? We are conditioned to do the things that we always do. We are prepared to fit into a system that has us doing these things. And in that system is a section called entrepreneurship. And if you want to go that route, here's how you do it. This is mainly individual and materialistic pursuits, basically, with the bottom line being money. And that's the lane that has been drawn for us, of how to do that, how to be an entertainer, how to, whatever it is. There's a system that locks down and makes perimeters for you to deal with those things. And we see that doesn't get us very far. And so we have to break out of that. And it just takes people going first, being willing to do that. Because when you step back and think about it, what do you really need to live? Do you need, more money than the other person? Or do you need to be better than this person or better than that person? The things, when you talk about being gifted, we've been gifted an earth that is plentiful. There's plenty of land, plenty of vegetation, even though people are trying to destroy it. But there's plenty for everybody. And when you talk about the world over, it's plenty for everybody. But we are in a system that doesn't operate like that and doesn't want us to really think like that. We want to think like I, me, mine, and then we break off a little bit for these people over here and we feel better. But every day we see the conditions around the world deteriorating. And we may be distracted from that by movies and the Olympics and the election and, all this other stuff. People don't even really, I believe, from my experience, people don't really even know what's going on in the world and don't really care. So to be frank, we're not it's gonna hit everybody eventually. Our children and our grandchildren and our grandchildren's children are gonna inherit whatever we leave them. And if we leave them with this idea that it's all about money and we feel good about being in business, etc., and we're just really mimicking people rather than giving serious thought to what being in business for us means, or what an economy for us means and would look like, because that's what's supposed to provide your community with the things that it needs. You shouldn't have people starving or, food deserts and all these kinds of things when we are well capable, or should be well capable, of building these things for ourselves.
Ikrama, I don't know what happened to you in the last 5 minutes, but the spirit started to speak. You were preaching. You're preaching well, because right now what I'm hearing you say really is and you've said it many times tonight, both of you have, that it's not always and shouldn't be almost ever about the money. What you just said was, why are you going into business? What is it about what you actually need? How can you help the planet? How can you help your community? Why is this business going to support the people that you are going to leave? Or how is this business going to support the people you are going to leave behind? And that is it's a big thought. It's a very large thought. And I appreciate it, because I don't think that it is a thought among the thoughts of why to go into whatever business.
Right.
We can keep talking, but as far as the beautiful people on this screen, there are more beautiful people that the Pieces Collective supports. And we want to go ahead and just show one more video.
Yeah.
So we can all be in community.
This is Stephanie, who is the owner of Yashik. She was also in the cohort at the third with us. She's a beautiful sister, and she her items are sourced from Ghana, but she'll tell you all about it in her video.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Aponza, founder and owner of Yashi Clothing and Accessories.
It's just a pack on the
Yashik is a mission-driven clothing and lifestyle brand for the woman bold in style and bold in purpose. Our goal is to really ensure that our clothing is not just about the women who wear it, but about the women who also make it. Because clothes may not change the world, but the women who wear them will. Yashik was really birthed out of a legacy of entrepreneurship. So as a Ghanaian American, being proud of that. But my grandfather was an entrepreneur in Ghana. My mom was an entrepreneur, and I really saw what entrepreneurship could do. Through entrepreneurship, my mom was always supporting other women, and my grandfather even opened up a school. And so I knew I always wanted to have a brand. And when I thought about Yashik, when I thought about having a clothing brand, I really wanted it to be, yes, about clothing, but as someone who struggled with my own fears and kind of self-confidence along my journey, I knew I wanted a brand that would really support women to be bold. And what better way to do that than with clothing that is bold and that makes a statement? And when I really thought about the women in my life, they are women who live out their God-given purposes. And so that's why our brand is about women who are bold in style and bold in purpose. And style, not necessarily just clothing, but how you live out your life. And purpose, I believe that God gives us all our unique purpose and our unique gifts. And how we use that to impact our communities is really key. And so I really wanted Yashik to, yes, be about clothing, but, an encouragement to not allow fear to hold you back as you're living out your purpose. That's why we primarily work with artisans in West Africa, primarily Ghana, to make our clothing, and then using a % of our profits to support different initiatives in education, as well as in youth development. So we know that through every purchase, our customers are making an impact. The most exciting part, of course, is clothing. For me, like, I love fashion. I like to dress. Every time I'm going out, the first thing I think is like, what am I going to wear? What's the dress code? And so when I think about the clothing and designing, it's really for it to be practical, but also a statement piece. So this is everything from our jackets to our outerwear to our dresses, which are statement pieces. And we really want to focus, like, our artisans are really good and focusing on the quality of the product and really picking out fabric that's going to last, that's going to be durable. So you think about like our bags, which are reversible. So you have 2 different prints that you can choose from. Think about some of our blazers that can be worn in the office. It can be worn going out. So again, these are items that are statement pieces that are, again, they're going to be comfortable and they're going to take you from day to night. When I think about the vision for Yashik, I really want to continue to inspire, to innovate and make quality clothing, but really to create a community of women who are bold in their style and bold in their purpose. And so we really ask that, people come join us in this community where we are living out our lives fearlessly. At the Heart of Yashik is a celebration of purpose-driven women, and we ask that you join us in our celebration where every stitch tells a story.
Yay, Stephanie.
While that was playing, I couldn't help it. I went, because when I came and visited you all,
Yes.
I picked up my own Yashik, and you can
Absolutely.
see and it's been a beautiful jacket. Like I love it. I didn't know it was actually in the video. I didn't know it was the jacket, but it's been beautiful.
I will let her know. It is
you.
beautiful. and it really accents the point, empowerment with every purchase. Because I wanted us to speak to that a little bit. We always talk about supporting Black businesses, and I think it's something that just now it goes over their heads. But I think it's really important that you support businesses, Black businesses, particularly those that are supporting the community. Absolutely. And so when you're thinking about shopping or buying gifts, I think you should first think about the businesses that are going to support you and that are working to build community, because that's how we're going to do it. I know that there's a lot of challenges we face, and one of them is, like, one of the biggest challenges for Black women entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs in general is funding. Like 60% of us are self-funded. So your purchase means a lot to us, and we know that you have many, many different choices, but we ask that you consider us. The other thing is that only 2% of lending and venture capital lending goes to businesses that are female headed. Only 2%. And that's female Black. That's just female. So we get even less than that. So, it takes us pulling together and shopping consciously in order for us to be able to make the strides that we want to make as we go forward.
We are in the middle. Well, we're winding up or cooling down or putting a bow on it. And I'm wondering how, not necessarily the question that everybody asks, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs? That's not necessarily the question I want to ask, but it has something to do with how to think about, when you all were talking about, well, what am I going to do? Can you tell us how to think about the impact when we're thinking about, I think I want to be an entrepreneur. How do entrepreneurs think about the impact that their business is going to have on the community? How should they be thinking about that?
I always say to, like Aquama said, your purpose. It boils down to your purpose. Ask yourself, and I even do this with my training, ask yourself, why am I doing this? And then ask yourself after you answer it, why again? And then when you answer that, ask yourself why again. And ask yourself why at least 5 times to get to your real purpose of why you're doing it. You know, people can say, I want to make more money, but why? And then they might say, because, I want to move into a bigger house, but why? And it could be, because I want my kids to have more space so they can play in a safer area. But why? Because I worry about it. So you think about all those different levels of going through your why, and then you'll get to your real purpose, which I call the real purpose. And that's after at least 5 whys of when you ask yourself why you're doing something. So I lead with that to really get your purpose, because that's what's going to get you up in the morning when you don't feel like getting out of bed. It's what's going to push you when you don't feel like doing this business, or you have a client that might be irate and you did nothing to them and they're just having a bad day, that keeps you going after that. That's going to be your why and your purpose of what keeps you going.
Yeah. I would think of it as what it is, which is service. How are you serving? How is what you're going to bring? Who does it serve? How does it serve? And what impact is it going to have? And how is it going to leave the world better?
Excellent. There's no one or anything that can follow those two wonderful people. So we're going to say thank you so much, Naila. Thank you so very much, Sister Kama, for being here and really helping us to understand why entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurship, but really entrepreneurship supporting the community, helping us to think about entrepreneurship in a different way. We really appreciate these conversations. And I just say thank you on behalf of everybody who is watching this. I say thank you very much for you both and the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for having us
too.
Of course.
Appreciate you.
Always.
We'll see you next time. For those of you who are still watching, if you are wondering, well, how? What do I do now? I have all these great ideas. I want to talk to these wonderful people. One of the things you can do is definitely come back to a Wisdom, Wellness, and Wealth event. Our next event is Black History as Instruction, Not Nostalgia. And that is on Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, 7 p.m. to 8:30 Eastern. If you're wondering about other things, Community for Action, a fundraising reception, is on Saturday, November 16th, 2024, from 7 p.m. to 11. And all of this will be coming up. You won't have to remember it. Don't worry. You can also shop local at Savage Mills on Wednesday through Saturday at 10 a.m. on Sunday at 11 a.m. And we also have the Maple Lawn Farmers Market, September 5th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 7405 Maple Lawn Boulevard in Fulton, Maryland. Again, I am just so honored to know the women, the people that are in the Pieces Collective. Thank you to our panelists. And obviously, thank you very, very much to you who are watching this. We can't do it without you. Thank you, Karen Freeman, for your words at the beginning. And we will see you next time here at the Pieces Collective. Bye-bye.